Hey guys! So, all of my other videos were like a little lighthearted, and this one is less lighthearted. So, I wrote out what I wanted to say so that I wouldn't be so nervous. So, if I look a little to the left or the right, it's because I'm reading what I wrote. So, Michael Alec moved into Ernie Glam in my apartment in May 5th of 2014, as everybody knows. Ernie had been telling me that Michael was going to come and live with us. I thought it was a cruel joke. Ernie and Michael were exchanging letters and talking over the phone while Michael was in prison. And Ernie thought he was rehabilitated. He wanted to help his friend of 30 years who helped him in the past by giving him jobs in the nightlife. I resisted. I really didn't want anyone moving in with us. I didn't even want a friend that we knew moving in with us, let alone a stranger. I didn't like the fact that the club kid killer was going to invade my space. When Michael came into our apartment with camera crews and James St. James, it all hit me. It was real. I didn't know what I was in for. As I mentioned in my book, Michael and James came running through my apartment like this, laughing and making a spectacle out of themselves. I thought maybe it was all a show for the cameras. Then Michael, who if I saw on the street walking past me, I wouldn't have recognized, walked into the room where I was sitting, and within 2 minutes, I was signing a waiver because I may or may not have been on camera. I was shocked and said, what did I get myself into? Little did I know for the next 15 months that this was going to be the ride of my life. I was going to be tested and tempted. I didn't realize when Michael moved in with us that he would become my pet project and I would become his minion. I say pet project because at the time, I didn't realize that I was in crises. I didn't realize I needed help. I didn't realize I used Michael as my deflection or my distraction. I felt that if I put everything into helping him, that I didn't need to help myself. Wrong. This deflection was the deflection at its finest. Michael and I became fast friends. We had a lot in common. We loved watching old TV shows. Our favorites were Mary Hartman, and Dark Shadows. The times we spent watching those shows were the best part of him living with us. Ernie was not a big fan of watching TV. He probably could live without a TV and be content and never be bored. On the other hand, Michael and I would be watching TV for hours and hours at end. We would start at sunrise and end at sunset, and we would be laughing and having a great time. That was the Michael I fell in love with. Michael was like a Jekyll and Hyde. When we were alone, he was great and happy. And when we were out in public, he was very abusive. He would call me names, try to break up my marriage, and tell lies about me. I think to myself now, why did I engage with him? Maybe I was the crazy one. I think I was looking for approval and validation and someone who needed me. I said that Ernie is very self-sufficient and doesn't need anyone's help and Michael needed help, so I gravitated towards him. I never asked Ernie if he needed help. That was my fault. Maybe he did. Help doesn't mean folding the laundry. Well, it doesn't mean only folding the laundry. It could mean mental and physical help and emotional help. I never asked him if he needed any of those, and he probably did. Living with Michael became hard on both Ernie and I, and after 8 or 9 months, Michael was doing substances, and so was I. Michael introduced me to a whole new world. It was a world I wasn't ready for. Michael and I took every substance known to man. I desperately wanted him to like me. I don't know why I would want someone who was so mean to me when we were in public to like me. I kept seeing the softer side of him, the Mary Hartman side of him. And that's why I continued to engage with him. Later, Michael became unmanageable. He wouldn't get a job. He thought a 9-to-5 was too good for him. He thought he would come out of prison and people would be lining up to give him a job. He thought he would sell all the paintings that he painted in prison and make millions of dollars. And that wasn't the case either. He wanted the easy way out. And as we all know in life, we don't get the easy way out. He manipulated people into giving him free stuff. He would get people to take him out to lunch, buy him stuff, give him money or gift cards. He was afforded every opportunity to better himself. He was given therapy and counseling and never took it seriously. He was given free insurance. He was given food stamps, and he was never serious about any of those things. When it came time to renewing his food stamps and his Medicaid, he never did. When he was scheduled to go to therapy or drug rehabilitation counseling, he was always an hour late and didn't want to go. The only, The only thing he took seriously was his next grinder hookup or his next fix or the latest scheme. People ask why I didn't kick him out sooner. I mentioned several times about that, but I will go more into detail. I wasn't brought up to discard people. I gave him many chances. I gave him too many chances. And maybe I was the naive one and thought he would change. Later, I realized he was never going to change. That's when I had to decide what to do. Ernie and I were fighting about Michael. I was unhappy and stressed. I had to make a decision. Ernie wanted to kick him out sooner than I did, like I mentioned many times. The decision then became clear. I had an epiphany at one point. I had to decide whether to kick Michael out or to get a divorce from Ernie. And I didn't want to get a divorce from my husband. So I wanted us to be aligned, and Ernie and I then kicked Michael out because of all the lies and all the bad things he was doing to us and bringing people into our apartment without our knowing, us coming home to the stove being on, him almost burning down our apartment by doing his substances. and passing out. So that was not my fantasy of a good roommate who wasn't paying any rent. So my problem with Ernie was that he never defended me, or he never defended me in the way that I wanted to be defended. Michael would come to him and tell him all these things that I did or that he said that I did, and make up all these lies about me to Ernie so that Ernie would be mad at me. But Ernie never entertained those lies. He just ignored Michael. If it was me, I would have said, if you talk about my husband one more time, you're out of here. But Ernie didn't do that because, in my opinion, I don't think Ernie likes conflict, and he just wanted it to be peaceful. But it wasn't peaceful. We were arguing, Ernie and I, Michael and I were arguing. Our house was like World War III. And when you're dealing in a war, the best way to do is admit defeat and get out. So I admitted defeat, that I couldn't help him, and he had to go. When Michael left our apartment, it wasn't as if we severed ties with each other. He was still part of our lives because we were still working on the pew, and we were still involved in Aligmart, our online store that Ernie helped Michael start so that he could make money. I remember seeing Michael out at the clubs, and I called him over to try to talk to him and resolve our issues because I'm a big proponent of closure. I wanted to close everything with him. I no longer wanted to work on the pew. I didn't want to be working on Aligmart. I told Ernie to tell him to buy me out, and he did buy me out for $650, which I don't know where he got the money from, but that's his problem, not my problem. And so he wouldn't entertain speaking to me and resolving this issue that we had, or issues that we had. And I felt like for part of the time that Michael lived with us, I was gaslit. And it's a horrible feeling to feel that way, and I wanted to close this chapter in my life. And years later, after Michael never entertained me, Michael had passed away. I was in crises, and I started going to therapy. All these feelings about him started coming up. My therapist said to write them down. I did. I started writing and writing until it became a book called Sour Candies and Chaos, My Life with the Party Monster. Well, writing this book, I was shocked and sad about the things I did and what happened to me. I should have engaged less with Michael. I should have not hung out with him as much as I did. I should have not cared about his need for approval, and I should have kicked him out much sooner. The only opinions I care about are the people's who care about me, and I should have learned that much sooner. Who cares what Michael Alec thinks about me? Who cares what Michael Alec's friends think about me? Or friends, I call them sycophants, because those people get engaged with him because they wanted to get something, and Michael wanted to get something. And when they came around us, I cared what they thought about me. And meanwhile, these people had no jobs, no apartments, no savings, nothing, and they were deadbeats. And I cared what a deadbeat thought about me. Now, like I said, I only care about the people who care about me. And that's what I want to invest my time and energy in. Once like I wrote everything down, it was very healing. I learned that I could deal with difficult people and that I know who I should trust and who I shouldn't trust. I gave him every benefit of the doubt, and he basically used me and stomped on me. The best thing that came out of the whole situation is that it brought Ernie and I closer. Ernie apologized for inviting Michael to live with us. He said that if he knew beforehand that this was going to happen, he would have never invited him to stay. Ernie is a big believer in giving second chances to people. He's kind and thoughtful to a fault. I'm glad Michael didn't break up Ernie and I's marriage. And I'm thankful he didn't break me. If you are interested in taking a journey down the rabbit hole, please go to Amazon and purchase Sour Candies and Chaos, My Life with the Party Monster. Thank you for your time.